If you've ever been treated like an embarrassment by your own family, hit that like button and subscribe right now. You're not going to want to miss what happened next. My name is Claire Anderson, and for 28 years I was the family punchline. The daughter who never amounted to anything. The one they stopped mentioning at country club brunches. Tonight, standing in the marble lobby of the Grand Meridian Hotel wearing a simple black dress while my mother and sister glittered in designer gowns, I was about to become something else entirely. But let me back up 6 years, because that's when everything changed, though my family wouldn't know it for a long time. I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, in a family that measured worth in stock portfolios and social connections. My father owned a successful commercial real estate firm. My mother chaired charity boards. And my sister Vanessa? Vanessa was perfection incarnated. Yale graduate, married to a hedge fund manager, 2 photogenic children, a lifestyle blog with 400,000 followers. Then there was me. I went to state school. I studied hospitality management, which my mother called glorified party planning. I worked double shifts at a boutique hotel in Manhattan, came home exhausted, and listened to family dinners where Vanessa's latest vacation to the Maldives dominated conversation while my presence barely registered. "Claire's still doing that hotel thing," Mom would say when relatives asked, her tone suggesting I was arranging pillow mints, not managing operations. The breaking point came at Thanksgiving 6 years ago. Vanessa announced her husband Marcus had been promoted to senior vice president. Everyone toasted. Then my father turned to me. "And Claire, are you still checking people into rooms?" "I'm actually assistant operations manager now." "That's nice, sweetheart." He'd already turned back to Marcus, asking about investment strategies. Under the table, my hands clenched. But my face stayed calm. I'd learned early that showing hurt only invited more dismissal. Instead, I smiled, finished my wine, and made a decision that would change everything. I was done trying to impress them. I was going to build something so extraordinary they'd never see it coming. 3 weeks after that Thanksgiving, I met Richard Chin at an industry conference. He owned a boutique hotel in Soho and was looking for a managing partner. Someone with vision, operational expertise, and the hunger to transform luxury hospitality. "Your family knows real estate, right?" he asked over coffee. "They do. So why aren't you working for them?" I smiled. "Because I want to build something that's mine." We shook hands that afternoon. I invested every dollar I'd saved, $47,000, for a 30% stake in what would become the Meridian Collection. Richard had the vision and capital. I had the operational genius and work ethic that came from years of being overlooked. I told my family I was helping a friend with a small hotel project. They nodded without interest and returned to discussing Vanessa's kitchen renovation. Perfect. For the next 5 years I disappeared into work. 18-hour days. 7-day weeks. I learned everything. Revenue management, luxury service standards, property acquisition, investor relations. The first hotel turned profitable in 9 months. We acquired a second property in Boston. Then Charleston. Then Miami. By year 3, the Meridian Collection had 12 properties across the East Coast. By year 5, 28. I attended family dinners once a month, wearing Target dresses and saying little. When they asked about work, I said fine, and changed the subject. When Vanessa complained about her nanny or her contractor, I listened. When my parents needed help with their foundation's silent auction, I donated a weekend stay, listed as from a friend in hospitality. They had no idea those weekend stays were selling for $8,000 at auction. They had no idea I'd been featured in Forbes 30 Under 30. They had no idea that last year, a private equity firm had valued the Meridian Collection at $127 million, and my 30% stake was worth just over $38 million. They had no idea because I never told them. I was watching, testing, waiting to see if they'd ever love me for who I was, not what I could give them or how I made them look. The answer consistently was no. 3 months ago my mother called. "Claire, darling, we need your help with the Children's Hospital Gala." Not, "How are you?" Not, "We miss you." Just need. What kind of help? "Well, Vanessa's on the planning committee and we're looking for venue donations. Do you think that little hotel friend of yours could give us a conference room for the silent auction display? It would be such a help." My little hotel friend. I closed my eyes and counted to 5. "I'll see what I can do." "Wonderful. It's at the Grand Meridian next month. You know it? That massive new hotel in Midtown?" Vanessa pulled strings to get us the ballroom. She's so well connected. The Grand Meridian. The flagship property of the Meridian Collection. The $340 million project I'd spent 3 years developing. The hotel that had my name engraved on a cornerstone plaque in the lobby. The hotel where my private owner's suite occupied the entire 48th floor. I've heard of it, I said. Anyway, the gala's black tie. You're welcome to attend if you can afford a ticket. They're $500 each, but I understand if that's too steep. No pressure. I'll think about it. That's my girl. Oh, and Claire? Maybe borrow a nice dress from someone? Vanessa's fashion blogger friends will be there, and we want to make a good impression as a family. I hung up and stared at my office ceiling. The office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. The office where Richard and I had just finalized our expansion into European markets. Then I picked up my phone and called Marcus, our security director at the Grand Meridian. Marcus, the charity gala next month? I need you to do something for me. I arrived at the Grand Meridian at 7 p.m., right on schedule. The lobby glittered with crystal chandeliers, the baccarat pieces I'd personally selected. The marble floors gleamed, Calacatta gold from the Italian quarry I'd visited twice to ensure perfection. Every detail reflected 5 years of obsessive work. And standing near the elevators holding champagne flutes and laughing with a cluster of women in Chanel, were my mother and Vanessa. I walked toward the ballroom entrance, keeping my distance. Claire. My mother's voice carried across the lobby. Oh, Claire, wait. I turned. Vanessa's expression shifted from surprise to something harder. What are you doing here? My sister asked. Did you buy a ticket? I'm attending the gala. In that dress. Vanessa looked me over. My simple black cocktail dress from Nordstrom Rack, my grandmother's pearl earrings, my practical heels. Her lip curled. There are going to be photographers. Vanessa's right, sweetheart. Mom touched my arm. Maybe you'd be more comfortable in the hotel bar? We could get you a drink and you could watch the gala from there. No pressure to mingle with people who might make you uncomfortable. People who might make me uncomfortable. Translation. People she didn't want seeing me with them. I have a ticket, I said calmly. You spent $500 on this? Vanessa laughed. Claire, that's like half your rent. I said nothing. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from tonight. Actually, Vanessa continued, linking her arm through Mom's, Marcus and I rented the entire 47th floor for our party afterward. Just the major donors, you understand. The people who gave $50,000 or more. I don't think you'd fit in with that crowd. I understand. Good. Mom smiled. We love you, sweetheart, but this is important for our reputation. For Vanessa's social standing. You understand. They swept past me toward the ballroom, leaving me standing alone in the lobby I owned. I counted to 10. Then I texted Marcus, it's time. The gala was everything I'd planned, magnificent. The ballroom looked stunning. The silent auction raised $2.3 million, and my family held court at a prominent table, Vanessa's laugh carrying across the room. I stayed near the back watching. Several people recognized me, board members, investors, luxury hospitality colleagues, but I deflected attention. Tonight wasn't about networking. Around 10 p.m. after the program ended, guests began filtering out. Vanessa's group headed toward the elevators, laughing and flushed with champagne and self-congratulation. I followed at a distance. 47th floor. Vanessa announced, pressing the button. Everyone ready to see what real luxury looks like? Marcus pulled strings to get us the executive level for the after-party. The elevator doors opened. I stepped in last, standing in the back corner. Mom noticed me first. Claire? What are you doing? Going up. Honey, no. Her voice turned condescending. The 47th floor is for VIPs only. The penthouse level. It's very exclusive. I know. Vanessa spun around. Did you follow us? Claire, this is pathetic. Get out. We rented the entire floor. This is for actual donors. She's right, Claire. Mom's face flushed. We don't want a scene. Please get off. I looked at them, at their designer dresses and their champagne confidence and their absolute certainty that I didn't belong anywhere near their level. I nodded and turned toward the elevator doors. Then Marcus's voice boomed through the elevator speaker. Ms. Anderson, why are these people in your private wing? The elevator went silent. Vanessa's smile froze. What did he just say? The elevator continued rising, past the 47th floor straight to 48. Wait. Mom's voice shook. 48? But that's the owner's suite. No one has access to 48. The doors opened directly into a private vestibule. Marble walls. Original artwork. A security desk where Marcus stood 6'3" and unsmiling. Good evening, Ms. Anderson, he said formally. I apologize for the confusion. These guests appeared to be following you to your private residence. Hit that subscribe button if you've ever had to set boundaries with toxic family, because what happened next changed everything. Claire. My mother's voice cracked. What's happening? I stepped out of the elevator. My family remained frozen inside, staring. Marcus, I said calmly, these are my mother and sister. Could you please give us a moment? Of course, Ms. Anderson. Should I call building security? That won't be necessary. Marcus nodded and stepped into a side office, but I saw him watching through the window, protecting me as he'd done since I hired him 4 years ago. I turned to face my family. Vanessa found her voice first. This is insane. Someone made a mistake. Tell him, Claire. Tell him you don't. I don't what? I asked quietly. Don't own this hotel? Silence. That's ridiculous, Mom said, but her voice wavered. You work in hospitality. You manage a small hotel somewhere. You can't. I walked to the main door of the suite and unlocked it with my keycard. The doors swung open to reveal the sprawling penthouse. 4,000 square feet of custom-designed luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Original Rothko in the living room. Kitchen that had been featured in Architectural Digest. Come in, I said. They followed, moving like people in a dream. Vanessa's expensive heels clicked on my marble floors. Mom's hand trailed along my custom millwork. I don't understand, Mom whispered. I walked to my home office and returned with a leather portfolio. The one I'd assembled over the past 3 months, knowing this moment would eventually come. I set it on the dining table. Let me explain. The first document I removed was the Forbes article from 2 years ago, 30 Under 30. Claire Anderson, co-founder of the Meridian Collection, redefines boutique luxury hospitality. My face smiled up from the page. The article detailed our $127 million valuation, 28 properties expansion plans. Vanessa grabbed it with shaking hands. This can't be real. The second document was the property deed for the Grand Meridian Hotel. Purchased 18 months ago for $340 million through a corporate entity I controlled. My name clear as day on the ownership documentation. You're listed as owner, Mom read aloud, her voice barely audible. But how? Where did you get? The third document was my personal financial statement, prepared by Morgan Stanley Private Wealth Management. Total assets, $43.7 million. Real estate holdings. Investment portfolio. Stock in the Meridian Collection worth $38.2 million. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Neither of them moved to clean it. For the past 6 years, I said quietly, while you dismissed me as checking people into rooms, I was building an empire. Every family dinner where you ignored me, I was closing deals. Every time you suggested I borrow a nice dress, I was negotiating property acquisitions. Every single time you made me feel worthless, I was proving you wrong. But why didn't you tell us? Mom's voice broke. We're your family. Because I needed to know, I said. I needed to know if you'd ever love me for who I was. Not for what I could give you. Not for how I made you look at the country club. Just me. The silence stretched between us. Vanessa's face had gone from pale to red. This whole time you've been secretly rich? She stopped. While you what? I asked. While you looked down on me. Excluded me from family events? Suggested I'd embarrass you at parties. We didn't mean. Yes, you did. My voice stayed level. Tonight in the lobby, you told me to watch the gala from the bar so I wouldn't embarrass you. At Thanksgiving, you seated me at the kids' table because I wasn't important enough for the main table. Last Christmas, Vanessa, you uninvited me from your holiday party because your blogger friends were coming and you said I didn't fit the aesthetic. That's not fair, Vanessa protested. You never told us you were successful. How were we supposed to know? You weren't supposed to know. I pulled out another document. This one hurt to share, but it was necessary. You were supposed to love me anyway. It was a printed email exchange. Vanessa to our mother 3 months ago. Can we not invite Claire to the gala? She'll show up in something from Target and talk about hotel management. It's embarrassing. People will think we can't afford to help her. Mom's email response. You're right. Let's just tell her she's welcome if she buys a ticket. She can't afford $500. My mother's face crumbled. Claire, I didn't mean. You did mean it. I gathered the documents. You've always meant it. I was never good enough as I was. I had to be successful in the way you define success. The right schools, the right career, the right social connections. And when I chose my own path, you treated me like I'd failed. But I wasn't finished. From the portfolio I pulled out the final documents. The ones that changed everything. While I was building the Meridian collection, I kept my personal name and finances completely separate. Professional reputation matters in this industry. So I ran background checks on everyone who might have access to sensitive information. Including family. Vanessa's face went white. What did you do? I didn't do anything, I said quietly. But apparently you did. I slid the first investigative report across the table. It was from Wellington and Associates, one of the most respected private investigation firms in New York. The report detailed financial irregularities in Vanessa's lifestyle blog. Specifically, sponsored posts where she'd claimed to donate portions to charities that had no record of receiving donations. The report included bank statements showing the money had gone to personal accounts. Total amount, $347,000 over 3 years. That's not. Vanessa grabbed the report. I was going to donate it. I just needed time to. To what? I asked. To commit charity fraud? The companies that paid you specified the money had to go to designated charities. You signed contracts. Mom sank into a chair. Vanessa, tell me this isn't true. But Vanessa was staring at me with something like horror. You investigated me? I investigated everyone connected to my business, I said. When you started asking Mom to approach me for hotel venue donations, I needed to know if you were legitimate. Turns out you weren't. The second report detailed similar issues with my parents' foundation, the one Mom chaired. Donor funds that should have gone to children's hospitals had been redirected. Not all of them. Just enough that an audit would reveal serious irregularities. Total amount, $520,000 over 4 years. The money had paid for administrative expenses that included my parents' country club membership, vacation homes, and Vanessa's daughter's private school tuition. Oh God. Mom covered her face. Claire, you have to understand we were going to put it back. When? My voice stayed quiet, controlled. When were you going to put back the money that sick children needed? A knock at the door interrupted us. Marcus's voice. Ms. Anderson, your 10:30 appointment is here. I opened the door. 2 people stood there. A woman in a sharp blazer carrying a briefcase and a man in a dark suit with a federal badge. Special Agent Morrison, FBI, the man said. We're here about the financial investigation. Vanessa stood so fast her chair toppled backward. FBI. Last month, I said quietly, I submitted these reports to the appropriate authorities. The FBI handles charity fraud. The IRS handles tax evasion. The state attorney general handles foundation mismanagement. You reported us? Mom's voice rose to a scream. Your own family? You're not my family, I said. The words came out calm, final. Family doesn't work like this. Family doesn't measure worth by bank accounts and social status. Family doesn't exclude people from parties because they're embarrassing. Real family, the family I chose, supported me when I had nothing. Believed in me when I was building from scratch. Celebrated my victories and held me through failures. I gestured around the penthouse. This hotel. I built it with Richard Chin, who took a chance on a 23-year-old with $47,000 and a dream. The silent auction tonight raised $2.3 million, and $1.5 million of that came from anonymous donations I arranged through my business network. The Children's Hospital will get every penny they were promised plus more. Special Agent Morrison cleared his throat. Ms. Anderson, We'll need to speak with Mrs. Anderson and Mrs. Marcus Reynolds separately. Of course. I stepped aside. Marcus will show you to conference rooms. As they stood to leave, Vanessa grabbed my arm. Please. Claire, please. Don't do this. We're sorry. We'll fix it. We'll make it right. I looked at her hand on my arm, the same hand that had pushed me out of family photos, that had air-quoted career when describing my work to her friends, that had texted Mom about how embarrassing I was. I gently removed it. You taught me exactly how much I was worth to you, I said quietly. I just raised my price. Now you can't afford me. What does that even mean? Vanessa's voice cracked. It means I'm done begging for a place at this table. It means I'm not expecting anything from you anymore. I'm simply declining. Declining your judgment. Declining your conditions. Declining your version of family. Mom stood frozen, mascara tracking down her face. So that's it? You're just going to let them arrest us? I'm not letting them do anything, I said. You committed crimes. They're doing their jobs. The only difference is that I stopped protecting you from the consequences of your choices. Agent Morrison gestured toward the elevator. Let's go. As they left, Vanessa turned back one last time. You planned this. All of it. You wanted revenge. No, I said honestly. I wanted a family who loved me. But you taught me to build my own instead. The elevator doors closed. Within 24 hours, the FBI had frozen my parents' accounts pending investigation. The foundation's board held an emergency meeting and removed my mother as chair. Vanessa's lifestyle blog sponsors began demanding refunds and contract terminations. Within 48 hours, the story hit the press. Not through me, I refused all media requests, but through the very social circles my family had valued so highly. Charity fraud investigations make headlines, especially when they involve prominent families. Vanessa's influencer friends abandoned her. Her blog views dropped by 80%. Marcus filed for divorce within a week, citing insurmountable trust issues and criminal liability concerns. My parents' country club membership was suspended pending legal resolution. Their friends stopped returning calls. 1 month later, my mother appeared at the Grand Meridian lobby asking to see me. Marcus called my office. Tell her I'm in Europe, I said. I was actually in my office, reviewing acquisition proposals for properties in London and Paris. And Marcus? Changed the security protocols. She's no longer allowed unannounced access. Understood, Ms. Anderson. 3 months later, the federal charges were filed. My mother faced 4 counts of charity fraud. Vanessa faced 3 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of tax evasion. My father, who had known about the foundation irregularities, faced 2 counts of conspiracy. Their lawyer approached mine about a plea deal. I wasn't involved in those negotiations. The government handled prosecution, but I was informed of the outcomes. My mother. 2 years supervised probation, $600,000 in restitution, 500 hours community service, permanent ban from serving on any charitable board. Vanessa. 18 months in minimum security federal prison followed by 2 years probation, $400,000 in restitution, permanent ban from government contracting. My father. 1 year probation, $300,000 in fines. They lost their Greenwich house, sold to cover legal fees and restitution. They moved to a modest condo in Stamford. My father's business suffered as clients quietly distanced themselves. Vanessa's daughters started at public school. I felt no joy in any of it. Just a quiet sense of justice served. I'm sitting in my office at the Grand Meridian, reviewing plans for our European expansion. The Meridian Collection now has 35 properties across 3 continents. Forbes just named me one of the most influential women in hospitality. Last month, I keynoted a conference on luxury brand building. My chosen family surrounds me. Richard Chin, my business partner and mentor who never doubted me for a second. My leadership team, brilliant professionals who share my vision. My best friend Anna, who documented everything during those dark years and provided testimony when the investigation needed corroboration. My boyfriend James, who works in architecture and designed 3 of our newest properties, who loves me exactly as I am. Last week my grandmother passed away. The only family member who ever truly saw me. At her funeral, my parents approached me in the church parking lot. Claire, my mother said quietly, we need to talk. About what? About making things right. About family. I looked at them, at the people who had raised me, dismissed me, excluded me, and ultimately taught me what family should never be. You're right, I said. You do need to make things right. With the charities you stole from. With the children you hurt. With yourselves. We've done that, my father said quickly. We're paying restitution. We've apologized publicly. We've changed. That's good, I said honestly. That's growth. I'm glad you're doing the work. So we can start over? Hope flared in my mother's eyes. Be a family again? I shook my head gently. No. You can grow and change and become better people. I genuinely hope you do. But that doesn't mean I need to be part of your journey. But we're your parents, my mother whispered. You are, I agreed. And I've forgiven you for that reason. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means I'm releasing the pain you caused me. It means I'm choosing peace over perpetual hurt. It means I'm walking away to save myself. So that's it. My father's voice hardened. You're just going to abandon us? No, I said quietly. I'm going to choose me. The way you never did. I walked away. Back to my car, back to my life, back to the family I'd built from people who earned their place through love and respect. If you've ever had to walk away from toxic family to save yourself, tell me your story in the comments. What would you have done in my position? Does any of this feel familiar? The truth is, blood doesn't make you family. Love does. Respect does. Showing up consistently, celebrating victories, holding space for pain. That makes family. I don't regret the path that brought me here. Every dismissive comment, every exclusion, every moment of being underestimated forged me into someone who couldn't be broken by their rejection. They wanted me to be small, manageable, grateful for scraps. Instead, I became boundless. The Grand Meridian stands as a monument not to revenge but to resilience. Every guest who walks through those doors, every employee who thrives in our culture, every charitable dollar we donate represents the truth they could never see. I was always worth more than they knew. I just had to believe it first. My name is Claire Anderson. I'm the co-founder and principal owner of the Meridian Collection. I'm worth $43.7 million. I'm featured in Forbes. I'm building an empire that spans continents. And I did it all without them. Sometimes the greatest gift your family can give you is teaching you exactly who not to be. My family taught me that worth isn't measured in their approval. That success isn't defined by their standards. That love, real love, looks nothing like what they showed me. They taught me to build my own table. And at my table, everyone has a seat who earns it through kindness, respect, and genuine care. Blood may be thicker than water. But chosen family is thicker than anything.